Good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Breitholtz. I am your alumni director, and it's so good to see you all here this morning. This is part of our coffee talk series, so feel free to sip away throughout the conversation today. This was created at the start of the COVID epidemic as a way to reach out to our alumni and friends and introduce you in a more casual way to different university leaders. The format is this morning is I will soon introduce Jordan Burris. Jordan will talk about the Q&A portion. Then I'll introduce our dean. The dean will speak, and following comments from the dean, again, this is meant to be very informal, we will open this up to Q&A. So Jordan?
Good morning, everyone. This is just a quick reminder that this is a webinar format. So while you can't physically voice your questions, you can ask them using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, please use that feature and we will address them when a Q&A is opened up at the end of the presentation. Thanks again for coming.
Thank you, Jordan. Dr. Kenneth Kahn is the new dean for the Monte Ahuja College of Business, and he began his journey here at Cleveland State in early August. And I will share, it has been wonderful to have you in this position, and welcome, welcome, welcome. He joins Cleveland State from the Virginia Commonwealth University, where he served as a senior associate dean since 2015. In that position, he launched and implemented the school strategic plan, which emphasized experiential learning, problem-solving curricula, impact research, and creative culture. Dean Kahn also was part of the team that designed and launched the school's online MBA program in 2017. He remains an active researcher, publishes regularly on topics of innovation and innovation management, and just is an all-around really good guy. We are very fortunate to have you here, Dean Kahn, so take it away.
Thank you. And I'd like to wish everyone a good morning. It's just a little bit after 8 o'clock, and very pleased that you chose to join us on this Tuesday morning. And I've seen some of the other deans doing this, is watching the videos, so a cup of coffee to everyone. What I wanted to do this morning is just give a quick overview of the Monte Ahuja College of Business. And then after doing the overview, we will then take questions. So at that, I'm going to do a screen share, and hopefully technology will work. And this is many of you probably are already familiar with the college and what it's doing, but I just thought it might be good for us to do an overview of the college for everyone, just to get everybody on the same basis. Just want to remind everybody, this is the Monte Ahuja College of Business building, and it is still there. I can confirm that it is still standing. It is very interesting times that we are in right now with the pandemic. Right now, 90% of our classes are online, and we do have 10% of our classes in person or some variation of being in person. Because of COVID restrictions, some of our classes are not allowed to be in the building, so they are actually on other parts of the campus. But we do have some in-person classes going on. But I will assure you that it is quiet. This is unofficial, but I am under the impression that our spring semester will be very similar to the fall semester, given what is currently going on. It is my hope, and it's my personal hope, that actually next fall we'll be able to return to a little more of normalcy and back to a more of an in-person experience for our students and for our faculty. So a little bit about the Monte Ahuja College of Business, and let's start with some demographics. And this is as of fall 2020. If we look at total headcount for the college, this is individuals that are in the College of Business. We have 2,719 individuals. Of those individuals, 1,949 are undergraduate students, and we have 770 graduate students. These students are dispersed across our 6 departments. And for those who are, I looked at the list and most of you are familiar with business, but just for anyone who is not familiar with the different disciplines of business, we have an accounting department. And just for those who are not familiar with accounting, It is really, and I hopefully for all our accountants listening in, I'm not that I'm doing this properly and giving a proper definition, but it's really about the measuring, the evaluation, and the reporting of financial data in organizations. We have a finance department, and the finance department is really the study of money and investments. We have an information systems department, which is about understanding the hardware and software required for identifying, storing, retrieving, and reporting out, analyzing, reporting out data and information in organizations. We have a management department, which is about the study of people and organizational structures. A marketing department, which is examining customers and competitors as it relates to products, their placement, promotion, and pricing. And then we have an operations and supply chain management department, which is about understanding the full manufacturing operational system that begins with the sourcing of raw materials all the way to the final disposal of the product. And so our students are dispersed across these 6 departments, and we have, as of fall 2020, 69 faculty in these departments, and also including the dean staff. And we have, I should say, 26 staff people. So we have a dean's office as well. So 69 faculty across the 6 departments in the dean's office, and we have 26 staff across the 6 departments in the dean's office. In terms of our programs, we have 10 majors, 13 minors, and 6 certificates at the undergraduate level. And at the graduate level, we have 5 degree programs, including our MBA and DBA. We also have a joint program, MBA, JD, with the law school, and we have 7 certificates, and these are at the graduate level. Just to give some clarification over what we offer as a major, certainly you can get a major in each of our departments. But we also have, in addition to that, we have a business economics BBA. This is the Bachelor of Business Administration. We have a BBA in business economics. We also have a BBA in international business. And our most popular BBA is the general business degree. We just launched a Bachelor of Science in Healthcare Management. That was in the fall of this fall semester. And that was in response to the growth of our medical community in Cleveland, and responded to the need for managers to help manage the healthcare professionals in the Cleveland metro area and Northeast Ohio. We also have minors. So this is an opportunity for someone to pursue either one of our department areas without getting a major, but getting a taste, and also some other interesting areas. Some of the additional areas that people could be looking at is entrepreneurship, governance, risk, and compliance. We also, international business, but we have 2 new minors that just came online this fall. We have our sales minor that's with the Bernie Marino Center for Sales Excellence, which launched this fall. And we also have a taxation minor, which just launched this fall. And we are the first and only university in the state of Ohio to offer a taxation undergraduate business minor. So that's an important distinction for us. We have plans to launch a property management minor in fall of 2020. So we're working on that right now through our curriculum committees. In terms of undergraduate certificates, these are areas that are unique, often very cross-disciplinary in nature. So we have a business biotechnology, global business, manufacturing management, multimedia advertising and professional sales, and a real estate and property management certificate right now that we are offering for our undergrads. In terms of graduate programs, we have like many business schools, we have the quintessential Master of Business Administration, the MBA, and you can take that as full or part-time. And we have various flavors of how we offer that MBA. We have, for students who have a BBA, we do have a BBA to MBA program. We offer an online accelerated MBA, so you can get your MBA in 1 year taking it online. We have an MBA with a healthcare administration concentration, which builds on our healthcare management program. So you can get your MBA, but focusing on healthcare. As mentioned earlier, we have the MBA JD with the law school. And we also offer an executive MBA. This is a weekend master's program. In addition to the MBA, we have our Master of Accountancy. We have a Master of Labor Relations and Human Resources. And we have a Master of Information Systems program. This is a new name for an existing program. It used to be jointly offered with computer science, and they split that degree. So the computer science degree is in engineering, more on the technical side, and we're looking more on the business issues related to information systems. So we have an MIS, and we offer a Doctor of Business Administration, which is the DBA. We also have some certificates that students can take at the graduate level. We're currently offering business analytics, cybersecurity and data privacy. The cybersecurity and data privacy certificate is co-offered with the law school. So you'll be taking some law classes if you're in that certificate. We also have entrepreneurship, governance, risk, and compliance. Governance, risk, and compliance is in our accounting department. Healthcare management, organizational change is connected with our management department. And then urban real estate development and finance is a program that we're offering in collaboration with the College of Urban Affairs. Wanted to make mention of an important distinction for the Monte Ahuja College of Business in that we are AACSB accredited. AACSB is the leading accrediting authority for business schools in the world. And it is an important distinction to have AACSB accreditation because it takes a lot of effort to get it, and then you want to keep it. Right now, I'd say about 7% of all business schools, business colleges worldwide have AACSB accreditation. And what this ensures is that if you come to a program that has this accreditation, you know that it is rigorous, it has gone through qualifications, that the content you're getting has actually been verified. And one thing that's an important distinction for the Monte Ahuja College of Business is that we have both our accounting department accredited by AACSB as well as our business school. And a much smaller percentage of business schools have both accounting accredited, which ensures that your accounting curriculum is verified and rigorous, as well as looking at all our business programs. We were reaccredited in 2016. And so we are coming up on a reaccreditation next fall. So we are preparing right now with all our documentation and required reporting that we have to do to ensure that we go through what's called our continuous improvement review. And this will happen next fall. And we'll say that we're very confident that we'll go through AACSB accreditation and get reaccredited for another 5 years. So we're on a 5-year cycle. One interesting element of AACSB accreditation is how they look at our faculty and how we're classifying our faculty, and they have standards that we need to meet to ensure and to keep our accreditation standing. And really what they're looking at is, do your faculty have doctoral degrees, and or do they have professional experience? And are they doing scholarly activity or applied practice activity? And this classifies faculty as what we call scholarly academic or SA, practice academic, PA, and these two classifications would be individuals that have doctoral degrees. So if you have a doctoral degree and you're doing scholarly activity, and what scholarly activity means is that you are publishing in referee journals, you're publishing in journals that are qualified and verified as appropriate outlets, and you're doing scholarly activity, you are therefore classified as a scholarly academic. This is typically your traditional faculty, but they have to be publishing in refereed outlets. Then you also have something that's called a practice academic. Practice academic is someone who has a doctoral degree, but they are working in industry or they're connected in some way to professional practice. So you're either, if you have a doctoral degree, you're either scholarly academic or practice academic. And then we have something called professional experience. This is folks that would have, they have to have at least a bachelor's. Many times they have to have a master's. And are they doing refereed journals, or are they doing working in industry or doing professional practice? That will classify them as either scholarly practitioners or instructional practitioners. So it's important that we think about the composition of our faculty as scholarly academic, practice academic, scholarly practitioner, or instructional practitioner, because AACSB requires that 40% of our faculty be SA. There is actually a fifth category, which is called additional faculty. And additional faculty are folks that don't fit in any of these other 4 classifications. And that is not necessarily, that's not necessarily good, because AACSB requires that 90% of our faculty fall in one of these 4 categories, and that less than 10% of our faculty can be what are considered additional faculty. So additional faculty would be someone who, irrespective if they have a doctoral degree or not, but they are not actively publishing, nor are they actively working in industry or connecting with industry. So those are folks that say maybe teaching for a long time, but not actively engaged in research or actively engaged in working with the business community. So we have to be very careful and ensure that our faculty are regularly engaging with the business community and or regularly engaging in research. So I just wanted to provide as a closing, we got one more slide, but just to close with some of the themes that are driving us as a college. Certainly diversity is an important theme for us and very much about celebrating our differences as well as uniting us as one Viking family. It is important that we're relevant, that the content that we are delivering in our classrooms is up to date and contemporary, as well as the research issues that we're looking at are connected to industry and contemporary. It's about that we do this research and do whatever we do in the college with integrity, and that's about being principled and ethical in how we do things. It's about ensuring value. We want to make sure that our students are getting high ROI on their academic curriculum, as well as all partners that are working with us, that we are providing a high ROI, that we are continuously focused on engagement. It's about working with the business community. It is about ensuring that we are connected with Northeast Ohio business. And lastly, it is important that we also celebrate and focus on scholarship in what we do. And that's ensuring that we are rigorous and we're actually looking at business problems, but we're doing it in a very structured and rigorous approach. So just a couple final tidbits about the Monte Ahuja College of Business. As we mentioned, with scholarship and the importance of being scholarly academic and ensuring that 40% of our faculty meet the criteria to be classified as SA, we are certainly tracking very well to that. Last year, we had over 50 research publications published by our College of Business faculty. Another interesting tidbit, we have a student managed investment fund, and they generated a 13.6 return. Given what's been going on in the markets, phenomenal return. And that's all student driven. So to show you our students, very, very talented. We also are focusing on entrepreneurship, and I wanted to give a shout out to our West End Ideation Laboratory. They're doing a number of programs, and two programs that in particular, there is a Startup Vikes program. And this summer they were working with the film department, and they did an initiative called Every Film is a Startup. An interesting, unique feature about the Monte Ahuja College of Business is the fact that the Small Business Development Center in the Northeast Ohio region has their Export Assistance Network office in the College of Business. We mentioned the fact that we have a property management minor. That was because of a generous gift from NRP and Millennia Group. And we are right now working on a property management major. And I wanted to conclude, given we've got some representatives from industry as well as our students, I want to stress how important it is in the business school that we're focusing on getting internships and job opportunities for our students. And so for those that are working in industry and you're looking for interns, looking for hiring our students, please reach out to Ann Nelson or myself and say that we have an opportunity for students, because it's really about connecting our students with industry and ensuring that they have employable skills when they graduate. So that's a little bit about the Monte Ahuja College of Business. It's all about being business focused, business oriented, and having our students end up in business. And with that, I'll turn this back over to Brian.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dean Kahn. A 13.6% return on the student investment fund is pretty good. So please let me know where I can share my limited resources with hopes that they will grow.
Yeah, I would like to meet with them as well. I actually like, okay, I need to give you my money.
Yes, they're an impressive group. Thank you so much. This was an excellent presentation, a great overview of the college. Let me just ask you a simple one to begin with. When you're being recruited, you're told a whole bunch of great things. And then you arrive and, some of those things are great, some are greater, some are not, don't live up to it. But I'm just thinking, what has surprised you most? What stood out most in your mind is, I didn't realize this when I was being recruited, but, now I do.
I think I will say it's very interesting starting a job in a pandemic. I'm very much a people person. And my management style is management by walking around. So it's interesting when you walk around the building, there's not a lot of folks there and not a lot of classes going on. I am getting around and trying to meet with folks. I would say that the one thing that has been very striking, but very enjoyable is the fact that everybody's been very welcoming. And our faculty and staff, everyone I've met who I've met in person we've had conversations, whereas I have been at other universities where you'll meet somebody and they say, hey, and then they just walk away. But that's not the case at Cleveland State. I mean, I actually am having conversations with people. I've reached out to our faculty and our staff and saying, I'm very open, feel free to Zoom with me. And people have done that. And I've been having conversations with folks, been able to have coffee with individuals. So it's people are very open, very willing to get together and chat. And that's been important to learn more about Cleveland State, because it's through those conversations that you get to understand more things and getting more in-depth details about the college and about Cleveland State and about Cleveland. I would say the interesting thing that I'll give you an interesting twist on that. The one surprising thing that I've also picked up is everybody's been asking me, are you East or West? So tell me about this. And everybody's been preoccupied. In fact, we just had a conversation about East or West in Cleveland. So that's been, everybody's extremely friendly, but there's this real hard line on, are you East or West? And in fact, that was one of my first questions when I arrived. Where'd you end up?
Yeah, that's interesting, because that was among the first questions I was asked as well when I arrived. No one says South, it's either East or West. They leave the South out.
And I've learned you really can't go north. I mean, you could, but it'd be...
Right, with a boat, yes. We are America's great North Coast, so, we have that claim to fame. Thank you. You mentioned during the presentation the taking advantage of the healthcare community, for example, in starting the healthcare management program. I'm also thinking about our location downtown, where so many other businesses reside, or just in general, we have a number of businesses that are headquartered in Cleveland. What are your thoughts on how do we take better advantage of that?
Well, I think it's very much about reaching out and talking to the companies. And that's one thing that I am actively trying to do. Again, it's interesting, given how things are. Many of the conversations I've been having with folks have been with Zoom. And also I'm in my 10th week. So right now we're really in the process of lining up a lot of meetings, although I've had a couple meetings on site at some companies just to get a sense of what are companies thinking. But I'm very much committed as a business school to connect with the Northeast Ohio business community. I think that's a responsibility we have. The reason why I'm at Cleveland State and the reason why I looked at Cleveland is the fact that you're a major metropolitan area. I think that business schools that are in metro areas thrive, and it's about tapping into the business community in the city. And I think also businesses benefit from the fact that they're working with the local business school as well, business college as well. And it's about creating those synergies between business and business college.
Yeah. Yes, we do educate Northeast Ohio's workforce. So it's just, I think it's incredible where we're located and all of the opportunities, and just think that provides a great opportunity for us to continue to improve and do things in the marketplace here in Cleveland.
It's getting our students excited about, the fact you're in Cleveland, that it's a very vibrant business community. And interesting, when I came in, I came across a study that was done about 10, 15 years ago, looking at Cleveland business and looking at Cleveland's role in business in the United States. And it's really interesting to see that it played a critical role. And actually, some people have said that if you look about 100 years ago, Cleveland and what was going on in Cleveland was very much what's going on in Silicon Valley in terms of leading the country in technology development. And so it's about impressing upon our students the role that Cleveland did play and the role that Cleveland currently plays in our business community, and get everybody excited. And the fact that we've got a very vibrant business community, you need to get your degree in business, stay in Cleveland, and make impact.
Right. And we're a lot more affordable in Silicon Valley. So very good. Elizabeth, Jordan, do we have any questions?
Yes, I have one. Dean Kahn, thank you again for joining us. I want you to go back to one of the themes you mentioned, relevance. when it comes to the business school, given the unpredictable nature of the world. How has business instruction needed to change in order to adapt to, increasingly unexpected environments? And going forward, technology is moves by leaps and bounds, but given this pandemic now illustrating how quickly things can change, how does business instruction need to adapt to these environments?
And that's a great question about how we're doing business now and how it will change based on everybody's changing. What I would say is certainly we have the Zoom technology, which we're using now, and many of our classes are using the Zoom technology, or some classes are using a Blackboard and they're going asynchronous. And then of course it's delivering content in a virtual environment. But what I would say is, I'll put myself out there. I had a colleague of mine, and we were having a debate. A colleague of mine out in the industry made a thought that he feels that all academic programs are going to go online, and that really that's going to be the future of higher education. And I disagreed with him. And the reason why I say that is because I was meeting with some undergrads a couple of weeks ago, and I was online with them, and I asked them, how many of you want to be back in person next fall if we're back in person? And the whole class raised their hand on Zoom saying, I want to be back in person. So the one thing I want to bring out is, yes, higher education is going to change because we have these technologies. But one thing I want to point out is that learning is really a social process. And it is about connecting with your peers in your classroom. And it's not really the professor. The one thing that's changing in higher ed is the professor is not necessarily the only source of knowledge in the classroom, but it's about the professor facilitating the knowledge flow in the classroom and then engaging the students in connecting with each other and really promoting this notion of experiential learning in the classroom. So my own opinion, I think what's going to happen is, how do we utilize technology to deliver content? But then how do we utilize that technology not to be the only thing going on, but that it's accentuating the learning that's going to be going on in the classroom? Now, we certainly will have online programs. So some students may choose to stay virtual, but I think there's value in being in person and connecting with your peers, because it's about developing social skills and understanding how to interact with people. But it's also developing your social skills virtually as well. So I'm seeing that we will be doing probably more hybrid experiences, that is online and in person. But I certainly see that the in-person class experience is going to never go away, because some students need to be in person. And I find that people really enjoy connecting with people. And we can do that in a Zoom session, but I will say that how we interact virtually is not the same way how we interact in person. And but it'll be interesting, because I've done research in virtual teaming. And actually what I found, now this was about 10 years ago, but one interesting comment that I picked up on virtual teaming is that this was a comment by one of my students. The comment was, I feel that I was just as productive as anyone else if we had been in person or not, but I felt very lonely. And I wanted to be back in person with my peers, because there's something that we lose when we're virtual. And he said, one thing that you really can't do as well is this notion of banter. And that is this ability to bounce ideas, just sort of have some fun, and some of the nuances and the gestures that we're doing in the room, you can't really pick up in a virtual setting. Now, quick ending to this though, is I am very much committed to technology. I'm an engineer by training, actually, with a marketing degree. And one thing that I'm always looking at is, how do we think about next generation? How do we push ourselves to adapt the latest technology? And one thing that I'm adamant in doing as I came into the college is, given that we are not having many in-person classes, we're focusing on how do we upgrade our classroom technology right now, so that when our students come back in the fall, our classrooms have been updated with the latest technology, and that they have a refresh. This is the opportunity to refresh our facilities, because it's about, when you come to the other side, using the other side of this pandemic, people are going to be coming back, and I want them to come into the classroom and say, wow, it's really great to be back, and it's really nice to be in a refreshed classroom.
Great. Thank you. Now, moving from how students are learning to what they're learning, when they're moving out into industry and into the professional business world, how are you preparing them for the rapid change and the rapid development and expecting the unexpected?
Well, I think that's also something that we're talking about in our curriculum committee. So I've been talking with our associate dean for academic affairs, Dr. Heidi Meyer, and she's working with our undergraduate curriculum, and we also have a graduate curriculum meeting. It's talking about what are some things that we need to be doing in the curriculum. And one, as mentioned earlier, I've been involved with curriculum around problem solving. So how do we weave in problem solving into our curriculum so that we are giving, say, complex problems that may not necessarily have one solution. So it's about having our students wrestle with these issues, and that it's about getting them into a mindset that you may be dealing with different things. And so how do we incorporate that into our curriculum so our students are constantly dealing with problems versus dealing with answers? And I think it's about also our students being able to think about problems and understanding problems and being able to ask questions, and as a result being able to probe and build those problem solving skills. I think that will be important for dealing with business, so that when our students land in their first job, that they're ready to go day one.
I think one of the partnerships recently that we've seen with the business school is NRP. Can you talk more about what can be expected from that partnership and what we'll see in the future?
Well, we're still talking with NRP. I mean, the interest is we're developing that. We have that minor that will be launching next fall, and then we will be talking about a major. I will honestly, I'm still talking with Heidi because we're in the process of going through the approvals, but it's very much I had the opportunity to talk with David Heller, is the CEO of NRP last week. And there was actually a Moments That Matter initiative last week that we had. And it was talking about, one of the themes is certainly mentorship, but the issue of helping folks to look at property management as a job opportunity. And they're talking with Mr. Heller last week. There is a gap in terms of people that they need to take property management jobs and the available pool of people qualified for those jobs. And as a result, we're trying to close that gap with our program and giving them skills and a lot of this is understanding financials. How do you manage a business? How do you manage properties? And it's about managing these in an efficient mode as well as an effective way, which is very much about business thinking. So how do we give those people that will be, interested in looking at job opportunities, give them one pathway where you can end up helping to manage properties, and understanding that actually is a business career and you can do very well in it. So that's what we're looking at. I think it was interesting you mentioned this notion of problem solving. That was a discussion that we had last week about, okay, how do we incorporate problem solving in the curriculum so that the students can be problem solvers when they start day one?
We mentioned, now that you mentioned Moments That Matter, that was a new mentor, I guess, virtual conversation that you're having. Can you talk more about how that developed and why you felt the need, why the collaboration you felt was needed right now to discuss this topic of mentorship?
Well, I think this was NRP was very keen on launching it. It was actually NRP and Millennium were saying this is a topic that we want to talk about now. They feel that it's, especially if you're thinking about a pandemic where people are really wondering what's going to happen next and what are my next steps I should be doing. That was, I think we looked at doing a Moments Matter around mentorship just in terms of the timing, and the felt it's about creating community. And I will say that NRP stepped forward to say that we're going to put this together, and this is really something we're going to be doing for our folks, but that you can include your folks. And they reached out to the business school as well as to President Sands, and he was very much advocating for the power of mentorship. I think, as you could tell, CSU is very much keen on mentorship for students. And this relates to what President Sands is very interested in doing around co-ops and internships. And it really all folds together. And so, and your prior question was about relevancy and about making our students being up to date. I think another thing that's going to be critical is that our students get internships, and internships where they're working in companies and in business settings, and that you're actually challenging them in these internships versus putting them in a situation where we'll just have you be a gopher, but really giving them some value added experiences so that they're getting what I need to work in business. We also, we talk about mentorship, how might you help mentor students so that they actually graduate on time, so that they actually have a commitment to graduate. My own experience with we had a similar program where I was before, and it was interesting that we would have folks be mentored by some of our alumni, and that made a big difference in many of our students' lives. I remember talking to one student in particular about how they were struggling with, really, is this the right degree for me? What should I be doing? And they were able to talk to somebody and talk things through to help guide them through a tough period. And sometimes there's just a little bit of reassurance that you can do this. And especially in the midst of a pandemic, where many of us are not connected with the business school, to have the opportunity to connect with somebody to reassure you that, yes, these are troubling times, but you can get through this. Sometimes that's the difference between somebody staying in college, graduating, and then having a successful business career. So that's the reason why we felt it was important. When you have somebody who's got the passion to want to do a program like NRP and Millennia, and they were putting a lot of resources to actually put this online, we said, okay, let's do it.
So, in that vein, speaking of new grads, how are the new grads that came out in the spring and the ones who are looking at, finishing maybe mid-year, how are they feeling? Do you have any sense of that?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty, as you can probably imagine. I will be honest that I'm actually collecting data, and I haven't had a chance to talk to many of our recent grads. Honestly, I think it's been challenging because many companies have been waiting to hire because they're trying to figure out what's going on. But students are still getting jobs. I do know that several of our students that I had the opportunity to talk to have gotten jobs. It's just, it's interesting. They told me that I've started, but I'm actually virtual right now. And they're starting their jobs, and they said that's really different. It's interesting to really see what's going to happen with business. We talk about higher ed changing, but also how business is going to change with the capability to work virtual as well. And that gets to the first question asked of how do we train our students to be flexible in the sense, how do you work virtually or not? But back to your career question. One thing that I think that students need to be mindful of is take advantage of opportunities that we are offering them. So we had a virtual career fair in September, and we certainly had a huge turnout, but we certainly had capacity to handle more students. And we were surprised that some students chose not to involve themselves with the virtual career fair. And come on, it's business is a full contact sport, and you've got to get into the game. And we also just had an internship expo, and we had a number of students attend that, but we also know that more students could have attended, and it's about getting our students to actively engage and step forward. So we are talking about how do we get our students day one in that mindset. It's about fully engaging in your career decisions and your career path. And you think about that the minute you enter the Monte Ahuja College of Business, and you're constantly thinking about, okay, what do I want to do as a career? What are my career opportunities? What are opportunities that you're going to allow me to think about? And get so something really easy, which I'm advocating for, and I think we're going to put this in our introductory class of day one. How about having our students do a LinkedIn page, and just start connecting that way, because that's going to give you entree into this crazy world, this dynamic world called business, and get them involved. And then also with their LinkedIn page, they can then essentially they can then affiliate themselves with the Monte Ahuja College of Business LinkedIn page. And it's a way of us pushing content, a way of us saying, hey, we got another career fair. And that way they can begin to become really steer themselves towards where they want to go with their careers and being attuned to what's going on in the world of business.
That's great. Yeah, that's a good tip. The LinkedIn pages, it's so easy to set one up. Why not, right?
So I've talked about that, and everybody's saying, wow, yeah, we should do that. We don't do that right now. I'm surprised, but I think that's going to become, there is process, so we are going through, and it's not really a curriculum change, but we are in the process of putting that as one of our systematic changes.
That's great. I mean, and then in that vein of opportunities and resources that CSU has, could you talk a little bit more about the SBDC and what they've been doing during COVID? We were hearing some rumblings that they have some cool things going on.
Yeah, so our Small Business Development Center in the college, there actually is a grant that they can actually help local companies. And we've actually had our students doing some things with local companies. So it's an opportunity for, talking about experience and getting sort of that relevancy. We have some grant money to tag students with companies to do some analysis for them. Also, certainly the CARES Act, we received some money through the SBDC that can then go out to companies for PPE and other things. And certainly there's a grant right now that we've also received. We've received several pockets of money that can then go to companies through the SBDC, but companies that are looking for international expansion. And how might I go through and traverse this export process? There's resources to have companies start thinking about, okay, where could I be taking my products? What are some of the things I need to be thinking about if I'm looking at different parts of the world? And that's, those opportunities are actually being made available through our SBDC program. So, and it's constantly, I will give credit to the team there. They're constantly looking at, Nate Ward runs the Export Assistance Center. They're constantly looking at grant opportunities that they can then bring into the SBDC and the Export Assistance Center. And then as part of those grants, that makes resources available for local companies. So, the key thing is to keep abreast of what's going on the college's website to see the new grants that they're getting, as well as clicking over to the SBDC, seeing what are some of the monetary things that may be available for companies, as well as the consulting and just advice that can be provided through that center. And there's no charge.
That's great. I think, that's a resource that maybe people don't even know about, that they could, as in their companies, be taking advantage of.
Yep. And we've had, also we have the entrepreneurship initiatives going on. And one thing that I think that there's interest in is we have a number of students that who are in this program that want to work with startups and mid-sized businesses who are interested in being entrepreneurial. And that's an opportunity as well to reach out to myself. There's also Colette Hart, who runs the Weston Ideation Lab. It's about, you may say, hey, I have some opportunities that I would like to have students look at. We can connect students with those opportunities, because then it's a great experience for our students. And we are pushing internships very strongly in the college, because that's how you get the relevancy, and encouraging our students to get out and to basically fully engage in the business world, because that's going to give you experiences. And the research shows that if you have an internship when you are graduating, you have a much higher probability, a very clear higher percentage of students will get a job because of that internship.
That's great. One other thing that I thought sounded interesting is the new majors, like in taxation,
Minors.
Minor in taxation. You're right. What kind of things, like who would add that on? What kind of person, what kind of career?
Can I add to that question as well, Elizabeth? And that is, say hi to the cat.
Sorry.
That happens.
Zoom, right? This is our current, and maybe
right.
This is where, yeah.
My dogs haven't jumped on my lap yet, so I'm okay. The same with certificates. I was very interested, and I heard about the new certificate program. So if you could give us a little bit of sense of that, that'd be helpful.
Sure. And actually, I want to go back to the animals, because I'm wondering, should we have like dogs and cats in the College of Business just to reflect the Zoom, while you're in class, an animal may just jump on you.
Let me say, doggy daycares have taken off as a business. So, that might be something you look at as well.
I bring that, I actually said, because I had a colleague who was doing research on bringing dogs to work. And they actually found that when you bring animals to work, it actually does bring the stress level down a little bit. But I don't know. I don't know if the senior administration, I'll get myself in trouble. We're advocating for bringing in dogs and cats in the College of Business, but that's just hypothetical. We're not doing that. But I can see it now. It's going to be in the press and all over the place. But so to your point with the new majors or the new minors, you know, the interesting thing with a minor is you can delve into an area of expertise without having to get into a lot of coursework. So it's like you get a sample of the material, but you get enough of this, you get multiple samples so that you actually develop some proficiency. So in the case of the sales certificate, you know, I think that sales is a critical skill set, and that for many folks, it is a great entree into the world of business. And actually, if you come in to the world of sales, really you learn the entire business, because if you are out there selling your company, you have to understand the company, you have to understand the whole product line. So you're truly getting an understanding of the business enterprise in which you're working. And we see that actually, if you look at sales, I mean, certainly sales connects with, if sales engineers do very well, and certainly you need a sales can apply to engineering. It applies to the medical community. Certainly there are sales opportunities in medicine, and there's sales opportunities really, if you think about all disciplines, that there could be, you know, if you have a sales competency, that's going to be beneficial. And then in terms of taxation, you mentioned the issue of taxation. The accounting department was fairly committed to getting this launched, because in the state of Ohio, nobody else is really focusing on the issue of taxation. And obviously, if you think about an accounting topic, I think if you go down to every individual, certainly taxes, everybody can sort of relate to taxes, and it has an impact on everybody. And I think this was just an additional way of differentiating our students, so that when you're graduating and you're looking to get an accounting degree, that if you have some expertise in taxation, which nobody else in Ohio is offering, that actually could be the difference between you getting a job against somebody else from another university in Ohio. And that's the reason for doing that. And obviously taxation is a very specialized area, but it's a critical area. And especially as tax laws have been changing, and that they change every year, having somebody who has an expertise in that, you know, you can do very well with a tax background. And I think all of us would agree, you know, taxes are here to stay unless there's a different opinion.
In terms of certificate programs, Dean, how long do those typically take?
And I knew you were going to ask that. And it depends on the program, but generally it may be 3 or 4 classes that you'll be taking. Sometimes you'll take actually 5. It just depends on the respective certificate and what's the content. To my understanding, it's the minimum is 12 credit hours, depending. And it also depends on what the credit hours per course are. But generally, I think the minimum is 12 credit hours for a certificate.
And why do you think people take advantage of certificate programs?
Well, what I would say is, and this is how I like to differentiate certificates from minors, but it's a generalization and it's not a hard rule. But usually you have a minor when you have a major, and when I don't have a major, then I have a certificate. How's that sound?
Okay, very good.
So these would be in areas that really there is not a clear, this is where it falls. So then you create a certificate. And many times the certificate is cross-functional or a new emerging discipline.
Yeah.
Or maybe something for someone coming back to school, or, you know, that you need specialty in one area.
Exactly.
You know, especially with the job market changing, it's good to be able to have a certificate program in areas.
Yeah, it's a way of showing proficiency. It's a way of, you know, the key thing, you know, being a marketing professor, you've got to, how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? And this could be a differentiator for you. And then you stand out among the crowd.
Yep. Do we have any write-in questions, Jordan or Elizabeth?
No, we don't have any more.
Okay, so what I do want to say, Dean, is that we enjoy, in the Alumni Association, enjoy partnering with you all. We do it on a regular basis. We do it with your faculty and your staff, so we greatly appreciate all of their support, and also with the alums from the Monte Ahuja College of Business. So many of them on your visiting committees and other advisory boards help out in so many different ways. So we greatly appreciate and thank them. And we thank you. Okay, and Elizabeth is putting her finger up. Elizabeth.
We have one question
Oh.
that popped up here. Someone wondering if you can show the slide with the new minors and certificates again.
I assume for undergrad. So let me get over that and I will share that.
Thank you.
So let's see, undergrad minors. So let me do that. I'm going to come over back to Zoom and let me see if I can share that. So let me do one thing. Hopefully this will let me share it. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So actually, this is the minor one. I can actually, let me see if I can pop it open. Oh, then of course it doesn't want to do that. So let's. How's that? Is that what they wanted? Undergrad?
Yeah. So it was minors and certificate programs, Elizabeth?
So this is
Okay.
minors.
Okay.
And as you can see how the minors range from 15 to 21 credit hours, whereas I said with a certificate, it's 12 to 15 generally.
Great. And Dean, this information can be found, I presume, when you go to csuohio.edu/ is it business, or what is the?
Actually, what I can do in the chat for everybody is, how about if I go over to the website right now, and I will actually open up I'll give you the Monte Ahuja College of Business.
That'd be great.
And everybody just go over to the College of Business. It's business.csuohio.edu.
Okay.
And let me hop back in Zoom. I'm going to actually in our chat. That's our website. So I just sent that if people would like to learn more, and it's constantly being updated because business is constantly changing. And so we change with business.
Yes, and you change quickly, which is great. The College of Business moves very quickly, which is wonderful to keep up with a changing business environment.
Brian,
So-
we just had one more question pop up. Another one.
Let's go right ahead.
So this is about acceptance. Do you, Dean Kahn, accept international students for doctoral degrees?
And the answer is yes. That they'll have to obviously go through the whole process of applying and then submitting their their transcripts from their prior schools, and there's an essay of why they want to be at Cleveland State. Right now, because of the pandemic, we are not requiring tests because of the difficulties in doing the standardized testing right now. So we're looking at GPAs. I would say at this point right now, given the pandemic, the process for our DBA, we're actually reevaluating when that process is and what our dates are going to be. So we also are thinking right now, given the pandemic and the fact that people, my recommendation, the recommendation of our faculty, is that we really want to do an in-person doctoral program. And given the current pandemic and given the uncertainty of whether people will be in person or not, we're hopeful that we will be back in person in the fall. We may actually wait a year before accepting all students to our DBA, just to ensure that we can be back in person. Because again, it's about that learning experience and connecting with each other.
Great, thank you.
But I would please check our website. But the short answer is yes. And if you would like to apply, feel free to apply. Because if we make that decision to move forward, although honestly, I think we're going to be waiting a year. But at least you can see what the requirements are by looking at our website.
Great, thanks.
You have provided some wonderful insights, Dean. Thank you. Thank you to all of our folks who have joined us this morning. Tomorrow we have another coffee talk with Dean Bond from our College of Science, and that is at 10 a.m. More information is on the alumni site, csualumni.com, for folks who still want to register for that. Excellent job, Dean. Thank you very much. Welcome to Cleveland State.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure meeting everybody virtually, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.